I think I've said before, there were never any real plans to make the Irat Gamer a series. Every episode I've made after the first one has been made because I've felt there's been enough demand for a new episode. Thus, we have the Road Fighter episode. Why Road Fighter of all games to choose? Well, generally I've chosen a game due to one of two reasons. The first is that the game is very well known and held very positively in the public eye, so that the Irate Gamer basically badmouths good games, like Boars has done. The second and probably more prevalent reason I chose games was because I actually thought they were underrated or not very well known. I've always liked the idea of bringing attention to more obscure games, which is how games like Inspector Gadget, Racing Aces, and most importantly for the purpose of this commentary, Road Fighter were chosen. I found Road Fighter a while before making this when I was browsing emulator sites just for NES games that sounded good. This was before my whole purist retro phase started, so I had no problem with ROMs or whatnot, and the name Road Fighter just appealed to me. I think it's actually a pretty good, simple arcade game, which is why I chose to do an Irate Gamer on it. This is yet another aspect of the Irate Gamer that has nothing whatsoever to do with parodying Boars. It's more of the blind, personal fulfillment that, as I've said before, plagues the earlier episodes. This specific episode isn't actually that bad. It's not ridiculously long, and there are some pretty decent lines in it. My favorite, and the one that people to this day still quote in the comments, is this one.
The game is now greeting me by saying hi. Hello to you too.
I feel the episode does still suffer from the incompetent gamer lines, that damn speeding up the gameplay footage thing I did, but overall I can kind of enjoy this one. I brought up the disclaimer last time. Thankfully I did shorten it for this one. This one's only about 7 seconds, which is at least reasonable. What I didn't mention last time, and what I think is the funniest part of the disclaimers, was the little empty threat at the bottom. I remember vividly struggling to find a way to word what I wanted to say. The way it reads, it comes off as though I had some sort of punishment in mind if anyone commented something unacceptable. All I was trying to say was that I wasn't going to condone stupid comments, but even then it sounds like I thought I had some sort of authority. I struggled so much with trying to say what I wanted to say that it actually changed several times before I finally got the common sense to just remove it 7 episodes in. Anyway, that's all I have to say about this episode specifically. I'm going to address a few questions posted on the last commentary. First of all, thanks to everyone who's stuck with the commentary. It does mean a lot that people are so supportive of what at times has been a pretty confessional commentary. So thanks to people who are enjoying it and how supportive everyone's been. I'm going to try releasing these a little more frequently from now on. I'm going to aim for weekly, because a lot of assessment that I've had to do for school has actually been completed, so I'll have more time and whatnot. Anyway, to the comments. Penham Rocker 25, not sure if that's pronounced right, says there are many IG parodies out of YouTube, but you're by far the best one. Keep it up, dude. Thank you so much. I don't personally think that I am the best by a long shot, but it actually means so much to me that there are people who do, because there are so many good parodies out there. So thank you very much, and thanks to everyone who's been posting such positive things. It's been really nice to read everyone's feedback. Aika Isayama, pronunciation, says, I thought the voice was meant to say Boars was shit at talking about the neck down was because of crappy editing, camera work. I'd assumed all of this stuff was on purpose because it was saying like Boars is shit at this, etc. Your GoldenEye was the best thing ever. First of all, thank you. We will get to the GoldenEye bit. That's episode 9, and I'll discuss my thoughts and some background on it. As for thinking it was all intentional, yeah, it might not be the best idea to kind of reveal the thought process or lack thereof behind these episodes, because a lot of the problems I'm addressing could probably be explained away or interpreted as like intentional shots at Boars. I mean, some of them were and some of them weren't, but the ones that weren't, you could probably interpret a lot of them as being intentional. And I am kind of ruining people's interpretations of this by just explaining how I came up with things. It doesn't really matter. I'll keep doing it, and I guess if you don't want the show potentially ruined, then maybe don't listen to the commentaries. But yes, thank you so very much, and thanks for assuming I'm smarter than I really am. Drin says this fits my new sense of humor, and yeah, don't think in any way I'm trying to criticize anyone's sense of humor if you do find the early ones funny. I mean, I did at one point, so I'm not trying to be critical. I know I use words like my sense of humor is better now or something like that. That's not what I meant though. I'm really just trying to, I guess, make sense of my feelings and how I've changed my perspective on my old work. It's in no way a comment on what other people's perspectives should be. I'm not saying anyone's wrong or anyone else's parodies are wrong for that matter. It's more just a commentary on me than Irate Gamer parodies in general. I'm going to skip to the last comment. Thanks to everyone else who commented such nice things. Everyone's been so fantastic so far. But just for time, I'm going to skip to the very last question. Sonic and Silver asks, what is your honest opinion on the current status of Irate Gamer parodies? Quantity, quality, reception, beating a dead horse, etc. And, related to my perspective on parodies in general. As is pretty clear, most people by now have given up on parodying bores, which I think is totally understandable. Most of the controversial topics at the time have indeed been talked to death and are pretty irrelevant by now. That's like the basic gaming incompetence, the AVGN plagiarism stuff. All that stuff, at least in my opinion, is indeed the metaphorical dead horse, and God knows I milked all that shit a lot when it was relevant, so maybe I'm just sick of it. This isn't, however, to say that I think Irate Gamer parodies have no place in the world. I mean, I am still making them for the record, and Boars is still making his show, and people still watch it. So I think definitely there's still room to parody his show. There's plenty of stuff in his newer episodes worthy of parody. He might not be as offensive with the whole stealing jokes thing, but there's still stuff to parody, in my opinion. I think you just have to be kind of choosy though. Parodying the same old tired stuff I don't think is really the best course of action nowadays. This is of course just my opinion, nothing against people who still get a kick out of that humor. It's just my approach to parodies is usually I have to make something really fresh and original and new, or else it's not really worth doing for me. Not everyone has that opinion though, and I accept that. There was actually someone recently who went through the whole Irate Gamer series and commented on every single episode that they loved it and it was great. But as the episodes kind of evolved into the more elaborate style that they are now, around like Frogger 3D sort of, this person's comments got progressively less positive until on the newest one they commented basically, this is shit. And this was so weird for me at the time because up until then, I was basically convinced that everyone was in favor of the new things I was doing with the Irate Gamer. But now I realize that everyone has their own taste and opinions, and I'm all for that. So don't let my opinion kind of devalue yours. Let's all just enjoy what we want to enjoy. So to kind of condense all of that into a concise statement, I think there is still room for new Irate Gamer parodies, but in my opinion, you can't just go over the same things that parodies always used to go over. You should be a little original and fresh with your parodies if you want to do more parodies. There is plenty of new Boars stuff to make fun of. And I know there are a couple instances where I've broken that rule and kind of retreaded old water, if that makes sense. But we'll get to those, and until next episode, thanks for listening, and feel free to post more comments. I love hearing what people have to say. Alright, see you next time.